No, the brother with the white shirt behind you. Brother Shabazz.
Oh, his brother Shabazz.
Yeah.
Can we hear you speak, please, brother? Because we feel as if you may have something to get a crowd today, sir. Please. I just want to hear you say anything for me, sir. Please. So my name is Dewan, sir.
Dewan?
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Thank you, sir.
I really came to listen.
I came to listen as well, though, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Well, speaking of this thing, my wife and I, in the name of God, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, my wife and I were at home doing what we do, and we almost didn't come, but we understood that we were compelled to come.
Yeah, yeah.
Sleep is a luxury today. We don't have time, we don't have the luxury to sleep. And what we see happening to continue to happen to us, to people of all economic strata and every race, but we seem to be the nomenclature, the benchmark, the pace setter when it comes to the type of abuse of authority that we see taking place in places like St. Louis, Los Angeles, Portland, and other places across the country. And it's really devastating to continue to see things happen the way they're happening at this late stage in our developmental history as human beings. However, nothing happens without a plan. Nothing happens without careful thinking and executing. And I think what we're looking at, honestly, we have to kind of step back just a little bit and look at the pathology of the psychology of those who are doing what they're doing.
Come on now, come on.
And it's one thing for the federal government to send in the Department of Justice to discuss and to look at the crimes that are being committed, but it's another thing to ask the question why the Department of Justice and the federal government and the President administration have allowed the Department of Defense to give to every police department in the United States, free of charge, military-grade weapons and armaments to police the inner cities. There's a plan, there's a connection, and there's a pathology that we need to step back and look at. Because we continue to respond to individual incidents, but there is a bigger picture, and the psychology of those who have been given the authority by our permission to protect us from us seem to have this hair trigger mentality to decide at moment's notice to be very brutal, very brutal in their approach to the common citizen at the drop of a hat. But why do we have to have military grade weapons, and why is it necessary for SWAT and that type of presence just to monitor and control reporters and people who are marching peacefully, exercising their right to speak and their right to have dissent from what is going on, their right to speak and have a civil disobedience to bring attention to an issue, and to say to those who are in authority that we are not accepting the execution of that authority that we have given to you the way that you are executing that authority. Now, if there was a crime committed in Ferguson, if there was a crime committed by the young man, because sometimes people commit crimes, but it is a double crime for those who are empowered with stopping crime to commit a crime because someone committed a crime. That is what you call a duplicity. That is what you call hypocrisy. And again, we have to look at the pathology of what's happening. What is the mindset that is not only sweeping the United States, but the mindset that is sweeping the entire globe? When you have organizations like ISIS, that's an Islamic organization, so-called, people who have taken it upon themselves to act in ways that are beyond the pale of what we call civilized behavior. Even in warfare, there are civilized behavior. And when we have situations like we have with Hamas, and when you see Hamas being characterized the way it is being characterized, and you see what the nation of Israel has been allowed to do and how it's been allowed to execute its authority and to be so doggone demonic in their approach to their saying that they're defending themselves, there was a pathology. And I'm not taking sides. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm taking sides. I'm saying that no one's questioning the issue of who has the right to stop a crime, to defend their borders, but there is a connection. When we have the world powers, those who have all of the power in their hands, those who have all the influence in their hands, those who have all this authority in their hands, if they're going to act in the manner in which they are acting, what does it say to those whom they're acting against? If you criminalize, if you demonize, if you abuse, and if you misuse people long enough, what in the name of God do you think that's going to produce? What is it going to produce? What's going to come out of Gaza? Will you tell me the same thing's going to come out of Gaza that's going to come out of Ferguson?
Yes, sir.
You cannot continue to do this type of thing to people and to brutalize them when you have the authority, because if you brutalize people enough, they won't wait for you to give them authority, they will take authority. And when they take authority, then they're going to act worse than you acted because you have taught them how to act. There's a pathology. There's a pathology. I think that we have to look at, I would appreciate it if we would look at the methodologies of the Desmond Tutus, the methodology of the Dr. Martin Luther King. We have to look at those methodologies because there's a hair trigger response expected. And the moment we allow ourselves to think for one moment that we're going to go up against those who are mission with, even psychologically mission with population control by force, is not going to work. We have seen it on a global scale. And I just want to say this since I was asked to speak, and I'm going to wrap it up here quickly. I'm going to wrap it up here quickly. When we look at the global situation and we see the connection between people, that boy that was shot in Ferguson, that's my son.
Yes, it is.
That's my son.
Yes,
he don't have my name. He don't have, he didn't come from my loins, but that's my son. Those babies that were killed over and over and over and over and over again in Gaza, those are my children. Those are my children. The moment we see ourselves disconnected from the tragedies that are in front of us, we're done. Because we separate ourselves from it and say it's not me, it's over there, and I don't care. It is me. It is you. And I'll tell you one thing, we have history in front of us. Apartheid. What was apartheid? What does apartheid mean? It means apart from. The people that, look, we're being pushed apart from each other every single day. Our insensitivities every single day. We're being pushed apart from each other. And when we get pushed apart from each other, based on these things called race and class and gender and all these other things that push us away from each other, we set ourselves up to be slaughtered like little sheep. So I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm just one little guy who's thinking in the park and speaking on the mic. But I think there's a pathology that we need to look at. We can look at incident after incident, but let's connect the dots. What is the psychology of those who are enforcing laws? And why does the United States government feel that we need to have every police department in the United States given tax-free, no charge, much as you want, weapons so lethal that they can't even use them in the Defense Department anymore, but they give them to the police department? And how are you going to respond to me if someone calls the police and say that I've broke their window? And how are you going to come after me? Are you going to come to me and respect me as a man and say, Mr. Shabazz, I'd like to talk to you about the accusation that's been levied against you for breaking the window over at Emmanuel Hospital? No. You're going to come at me, you're going to say, get on the ground, NIG, because I got a tank outside, I got a helicopter up above, and the drone is on its way. Get on the ground. That's where we are. There's a pathology, there's a psychology, there's something moving across the earth that's awfully dark and dubious, and it's not stopping in our neighborhoods. It's going across all neighborhoods. And when we speak out, believe me, when you speak up, you're set up. But that's just the way it's got to be. We have to think, dear people. We have to think, because our hearts are not enough to be broken. We have to think. And those in authority, our elected officials, We have to ask them questions. We have to be engaged. And you know what? I had a birthday a few days ago, so that means I got a death day coming pretty soon. We need to have the young brothers like this and sisters, the people coming behind us, education. You got to be educated. You got to know what's going on. You got to have your head on straight, and you got to have a heart, and your heart's got to be connected to your intellect, and your intellect's got to be connected to your courage. Thank you very much. Peace be unto you all. Have a good day.